hear silence, so
Yes.
it either worked or they're locked in a closet.
I closed a door. Magic.
Yeah, I locked myself in. I hope nobody comes knocking.
Yes. But I guess most of our participants are in a situation that is very similar. So,
sure.
So
yeah.
I hope that
I'm
everyone
sure they will understand.
Exactly. Everyone will be understanding.
See, the one advantage I have is my kids already have kids, which means they don't live here.
Yeah. That's a different thing. It's scenario.
Right. They come and
Good
visit,
for you.
and I get to spoil them as the grandfather, and then everybody goes home.
Yeah. Sounds beautiful. Wonderful.
I can't wait.
Who would have told us, right? That we would be saying, I can't wait to be a grandma.
I want to be a grandma.
Enjoy the time with your children, but it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we can get started because we have a lot of content today. So I want to welcome everybody to this webinar and thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited about this webinar in which we are going to be sharing the basics of design thinking, what it is and how you can use it to your advantage when you have a challenge ahead of you. And today with me are Edith Sagay. Edith is a product expert at SAP. She has been with SAP for more than 20 years, and she is the specialist as well in design thinking. Edith has helped us in many processes and also in design thinking sessions with our customers. And I want to thank you, Edith, for joining us today. Good morning.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
And it's always a pleasure to have Edith on board for our webinars. She comes with us to our customer days also when we were able to celebrate them face to face. And she was always giving us a lot of valuable presentations. Also today with us is Greg Roop, our very own Vice President for Client Services here at Consensus. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Clara. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for everybody attending today.
Yes, thank you. And Greg is a manufacturing guru. He has extensive experience in the manufacturing sector. He has been helping customers for also more than 20 years implement ERP systems and improve and optimize their processes. And manufacturing, we all know that the processes and the challenges that industry presents are very complex. And lately, he has also been trained on design thinking. And today, he's here with Edith to show us the power of design thinking. My name is Clara Custodio. I lead customer experience and communications here at Consensus. I'm going to very quickly go over some housekeeping items before we start. The session is being recorded. And you will receive a link to the recording so you can enjoy the content afterwards whenever you have the time, or you can share it with your friends and colleagues. The question and answer feature in Zoom can be used to ask questions as we go, although attendees are muted throughout the session to guarantee good communication. We will also be closing our cameras, our webcams. You've already seen us, you know who we are, and so to be smart with the bandwidth. Today's session will last approximately 60 minutes, and all the questions you can send them throughout the presentation, and we will try to answer them at the end of the session. I'm going to close my webcam now, and Greg, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Great, thank you, Clara.
Okay, if you can just stop sharing, Clara,
yes,
so I can start. Thank you. Over to you, Greg.
Great, thank you. So we're going to talk about today what's design thinking. We want to talk about the applications of how that's used, the must-haves, some of the tools that we're going to be using, who should be in your design thinking session and how you're going to apply this methodology in a remote environment to reinvest in your business and give you the tools to do some analytical design thinking on whatever the topic happens to be. And also equally important is how to get started and use the methodology effectively as we go forward. So that's the goal of this session, to introduce you to design thinking, show you the power of it, and give you the tools to get started.
Edith?
You can't hear?
Yes, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
We are seeing the presenter's screen,
Okay.
so maybe it makes it a little harder to understand the content.
So you're seeing the next slide?
Yes, we see the black screen with the presenter's view.
Okay.
We all have so many screens, it's a little challenging these days to make sure that you're sharing the screen.
Are you able to see the video now?
But we're seeing again, if you click on display settings on the top of your screen,
Okay.
there, and then you can swap the presenter view and slideshow. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Now we're going to be,
Okay,
it's okay.
there you go.
Great, okay.
I make stuff up, okay?
Look at what's happening now. There have been fundamental changes in the way people think about problems, the kinds of problems that occur, and certainly the impact on design.
Now, my definition of design thinking is applying the methodologies and approaches of design to a broader set of issues and problems in business and society.
So many people think that it's kind of like in your genes. You're a creative person or you're not. I don't buy that.
Prototyping, testing, failing all the time, but failing quickly and cheaply in order to succeed.
A big part of it with city governments is just getting them comfortable with the idea of experimentation. It's totally antithetical to the culture of startups in Silicon Valley. Try something, if it doesn't work, throw it out and start again.
Now, when the government came to us and asked us to redesign the ballot, we said we wouldn't redesign the ballot, but what we would do is redesign the election experience.
If I didn't have to just pick a boring, ugly bike, pre-built off the shelf, if I got to choose the color of the frame, the color of the wheels, what would my bike look like?
I think it was called Flower Power was the internal name for it. One of the iMacs. And it wasn't a success. It lasted in the marketplace for 6 months.
Some people are saying, oh, I hate the word design thinking.
If you're only thinking, then you're not doing. Some of the aspects of design thinking are simply suggesting that designers are not thinking.
It doesn't matter what the problem is. I can go in and solve it because I'm a designer.
I once had a guy come to me and literally say, it ain't show art, kid. You know, it's show business.
Why is it that big, huge corporations get beaten by kids in garages?
The thing that excites me the most about this, and I think excites most people, is we have a chance to really move the needle. We have a chance to make a difference on a significant level when we get all these pieces moving together. That's what gets me up every day.
So, Edith, thank you for running that video. I think that's a really good overview of design thinking and how it gives you a structure to tackle issues that you have within your business. But we're in a very different environment over the last few months. Everybody understands what's going on now with things, but design thinking is even more important now And what we want to do is give you the some of the tools that we've been using to utilize design thinking when we're in this this interesting time that we're at. So things like that we have to consider as we're using design thinking and the tools that we have are the temporary downsizing things that we've had. We still need to get everything done. We need to do that with less people or maybe the same people, and everybody's remote. We have remote workers in there. We want to make sure that we're maintaining a team environment, and the worker health and well-being is really important for everybody, because everybody is a little bit disconnected now from what their previous environment was. So you want to review the present processes and workflows that you have. Make sure that they still work, and that the people that are using those workflows are comfortable with the processes that they have in place. Marketplace changes are evident everywhere. You know, everybody's moving towards touchless communications, web-based technology. Zoom meeting is exploded with its use over the last few months, and everybody's concerned about COVID and everything is really driving different types of technologies and communications that we need to embrace so that we can continue to maintain that great customer satisfaction that we have. So we have to really do our best to really personalize contact with our customers by using other methodologies. It's not simple to just hop on a plane now, or other means of communications are swinging by to visit customers or vendors that we have in the area. We have to utilize different methodologies to maintain that customer satisfaction and that relationship that we've had already built on and want to continue to thrive with. So the new normal. Just want to pass this along. I think this is kind of humorous in a lot of cases, how it impacts everybody in a different way. So here you see Superman, that he's kind of powerless about this. He's doing what he thinks he should be doing. He's following the rules and staying home. A great quote by Charles Darwin. And here's some quotes that of some of the partners that we've had that have gone through design thinking in over the last year or two, and it's really important to note that the message that they're starting out with, in a lot of cases, that really resonates is that when they were going into their first design thinking session, they were very skeptical about the ability to deliver value, and I think after going through the process and recognizing the power and the structure and the ability to apply design thinking to all attributes of their business, many of our customers have had a complete turnaround on the process and have really embraced it and have utilized it not only with the initial design reviews that we've done at consensus with the customers, but used it internally and taken that tool and applied it to other functional areas within their businesses.
Thank you, Greg. That was a great overview. And what I would like to talk about is really more about what is design thinking and some of the tools that we use to facilitate, to maintain this this type of new thinking to apply to your businesses. So really, in a nutshell, it is about bringing two of the best worlds. And what are the two worlds is really the human intuition, the human values, your instincts with the analytical thinking and the technology. And when you combine those two, you really get that sweet spot where design thinking comes into play and you come up with really great ideas. Have you seen this before? What is my challenge here? What do I try to accomplish? Really, all I want is a transportation tool that will get me from one place to another. If I were to go the first route, so it will take me quite a while until I get to the final result where I can, use my car and go from one place to another. So in order to eliminate this gap, and design thinking does help, is bringing a first kind of a interim idea. Okay, let's start with this, and then we can go back and improve it, and go back and improve it again. And you will see how the design thinking process is structured in the way that you can always go back to different stages you've already covered and improve and reinvent yourself until you really do get to the final and ultimate result. But along the way, you still have your results. You still have your happy customers that are enjoying the work that you've done. Some examples of design thinking, and you will see this kind of theme will repeat, is a challenge or a mission statement. Because in a design thinking, we want to address a specific challenge. You can see some examples we've done throughout, you know, North America and the world. We've been doing this for, you know, 4 to 5 years now, and we've seen some, you know, different businesses may encounter different challenges. You know, for example, how might we increase revenues using the same resources? So it's not always about putting a lot of money or putting a new software or a new technology. Sometimes it really is about optimizing your business processes, or using things you already own, using things better, using things more efficiently. Let's look at a real life story of a design thinking. And this is, you know, got nothing to do with software. It's about building an incubator. And the challenge was Nepali mothers living in remote villages. And the need was to keep a premature baby warm. So you guys know the standard, the incubators that we have in Western hospitals. But what about, you know, those moms that don't have the option to bring their baby to a hospital, or it's too expensive for them? So if you notice, the challenge wasn't even about, okay, let's take a standard incubator and bring it to the villages. It was really about finding a brand new solution, and that's what they came up with. So this was the prototype, and the prototype was actually 1% of the cost of a traditional incubator, because really the need was to keep the baby warm. We didn't have to put it in a machine or any special equipment. It really does to keep the baby warm. And you can go on, you know, on this website. It's really, really interesting to see. And, you know, after the prototype, this is the final product. Let's take a look at another really interesting example of a situation in Argentina where they have a lot of traffic accidents. Let's take a look at that. so this is a really, really nice example because not only they help save lives, but obviously they increased and boosted their sales of screens. So that's a really innovative way to help different aspects of your business. So let's talk a little bit about the methodology, because it's not, you know, some people say, okay, let's just come in the room and start talking about our problems. So there's more than that. There's actually a structure to it, where you can see the different steps where first we understand what the problem is. Sometimes we think the problem is somewhere, but then after some observation, some interviews with our employees or our customers, we really realize that different point of view will come up with different issues. So maybe my customer sees my issue as one, but the warehouse employee sees them as a different one. So that's why we actually take this first portion of just understanding what the problem is very seriously. Then we start with the ideation process, where we start coming up with ideas, we building a prototype, we test the prototype, and finally we implement. But you do see that those arrows go kind of forward, but they also go backwards. That's what I mentioned before, that maybe in some step of the prototyping, we realized that, you know, we didn't get enough good ideas, or they're not applicable, or it's not like we thought. We can always go back. And maybe after we tested, we realized and we got some feedback from the users that, you know, we didn't consider a certain point of view. So we might go back and revisit a lot of those steps to really come up with a final solution that is good for everybody. Another thing that we do, and really this is, you will see that a lot in design thinking, is the diverging and the converging. So first, let's throw out every idea out there that we can possibly have. It cannot be crazy enough. We can accept everything. So we throw out everything, we think, you know, using our brains and our creative thinking, and then we narrow it down. So we don't need to kind of be worried that, oh my God, if somebody said I need now to hire 100 employees, it doesn't mean you're going to do it. But it just means that here is another option that maybe somebody didn't think about, but then let's discuss together to make a choice. So we always kind of allow multiple ideas to be out there, but then let us converge, let us pick the top 5 or whatever we decide as a group, and we're going to talk about what group is that going to be as well. A typical design thinking format would be something like that. So first of all, we discuss the challenge. What is our mission statement? What is our problem? We're going to create a persona. We're going to create a customer journey map, and I'm going to talk about these tools that I'm mentioning here. We're going to throw out ideas, and then we're going to identify a solution or multiple solutions and prioritize. And this is very important, that at the end of this, you actually come up with an action items list with names on it, with dates on it. So everybody knows that, you know, we didn't just spend, you know, a day in a boardroom, in a conference room, and we didn't come up with any decisions like many of, you know, today's meetings are happening. Now, granted, we're doing this on Zoom because these days are different. So usually in a design thinking, we would do it in a classroom between 1 to 2 days. We might go out to the field. We might invite some customers. We're going to invite different people from the company. But you know, later on, we're going to discuss how can you actually do something similar, but in a remote setting, when we're all sitting at our home offices in front of the computer. How can this be implemented? but the tools are the same tools, the format would be the same, and really the process would be the same. It's just going to look a little bit different because of the situation we're facing today. A few elements of design thinking when you come into this kind of workshops is, first of all, let's get some expectations right. It's not a single workshop. As I mentioned, we can, you know, do it today, do some prototyping, start a new process, revisit it in a month. It's not rocket science. It doesn't mean you have to be the smartest. You don't need to have a PhD. You don't even have to know the business. You can, you know, just bring people that have certain touch point with that challenge that you're facing, but are not necessarily doing it on a daily basis. And you would be surprised how those people bring up the best ideas, because, you know, for us, sometimes we're being kind of set in our ways, you know, like Clara said, I've been working with SAP for over 20 years. Sometimes it's hard for me to see how we can change things up. You know, I might say, nah, this will never work. Don't even bother. This, we tried it in the past. But someone that comes from the outside of the organization or the outside of the daily operation can really bring a lot of great ideas. And it is about people. You would see that it's definitely not about technology. It's about talking to each other. It's about thinking. It's about, and also the solution would be, would our people or our customers embrace whatever we come up with? Again, especially, I always take SAP as an example, where, you know, our developers can develop this amazing application with a lot of buttons and a lot of functionality. But when it goes to the people, it goes to the users, they don't really adopt it. And why is that? How it's so great? How is that even possible? So yeah, it is possible because the developers didn't think of the end user. They didn't think of the interface. They didn't think what they really need. They need to simplify it. You know how today we download an app from the App Store and we use it immediately. We don't really need a bunch of training or workshops or manuals to be able to use an app. So that's why it's important to ask what the people want, what their needs are. Why do they need it? And it really is about, you know, that aspect. Also, it's I found it hard to understand in a theoretical training, and this is kind of what I'm trying to explain to you today. It's all theoretical right now. You know, what does it mean to, you know, to do a design thinking? What does it mean to observe my users? I mean, and that's why it's kind of hard to explain, and I'm trying to explain it through examples. But once you kind of experience it, you would really see how that works. And, you know, going back to some feedback we received from customers and partners was that, you know, they were skeptical. They did not really understand what we're trying to do, but they gave it a chance. And at the end, they were all very happy and they understood why we're doing it. So yeah, it needs to be experienced. And then finally, I did touch on it before, but it is supposed to touch a concrete challenge. So it's not about, okay, let's build a new company, although you can use design thinking for that, but let's solve the world hunger problem. So no, design thinking, it really is about specific challenges. And I think Greg in the beginning talked about, you know, how do we now apply the same processes but remotely? How do, if we had to let people go, how do we still keep up with the workload? Very simple things. How do we do the same with less? And I think this is kind of a theme that comes back again and again. So it's not only about, like I said, you know, buying a new technology or implementing a new application. Sometimes it really is just a change in the processes, and but you do need to focus. So I'm just kind of throwing a question out there, and you guys can use the chat. if you can think of some challenges your company is facing, and it doesn't have to be, you know, coronavirus related, just generally, if you can think of some challenges and you can put it in the chat to share with us and see what you guys are thinking. And everybody is welcome to type in a few examples. I think I can tell you from the SAP perspective, from where I work for, so there were a lot of changes we had to make. I'm used to working from home, but you know, this is a company of 100,000 employees, and all of a sudden not having an office, not having the support system, not having your colleague right next to you was a challenge. So we did have to adapt. So any ideas out there for challenges that your company is facing? Clara, do we have anything in the chat?
Sorry, not yet.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Oh,
I will let you guys.
One.
Oh, okay.
We have one.
Yeah, let's
Keeping
take a
in
look.
touch with my co-workers, not only for work, but friendship.
Okay. Good. Good. Thank you, Greg. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I see my my coworkers more than before right now with all the Zoom videos and all of that. So maybe to see them less, that would be a challenge. All right, let's move on. So, you know, in a classroom environment or a conference room environment, it's going to look something like that. Let's see, I think I got, yeah, less resources. Exactly. So it's going to look something like this, and you're going to see a lot of those sticky notes everywhere. You see them all over the walls, all over the tables, because this is kind of a big, a major tool that we use for design thinking, is those sticky notes. Because as I said, it's not about sitting and doing a bunch of PowerPoints. In fact, there are no PowerPoints in design thinking. It's really just about, let's talk about it, let's share ideas, let's write down our ideas, and we're using sticky notes in a classroom environment. When you use those sticky notes, and we kind of go back to a little bit of, you know, how it's going to look like, you're going to use a note and you're going to write in bold. You're going to make a statement. You can be visual. You can put some picture on it. You're going to do one sticky note per idea. You don't want to put an essay here, because imagine that if I go back for a second, imagine I have those bunch of sticky notes and each one has, you know, a few sentences on it. No, I just need one word, and that word should represent my idea, or this one drawing should represent my idea. But how do you do it in a remote environment? So let's see a little example that we guys have created. I like to do introduction in the beginning of each workshop, just because sometimes I have people that don't actually know each other. They know very little of each other. So I would start with some introduction using sticky notes. So the first note would be your name. The second would be your role. Then I'm going to share something about myself using a drawing, and what's your expectation of this workshop. And it takes a few minutes, and then each person actually presents it to the rest of the group. So we're using a tool called Padlet. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's kind of mimicking sticky notes. By the way, can you see it in the share screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure. Hold on. So if you kind of, just in the sake of time, I guess, I'm going to just show this to you quickly. So Greg, Clara, and I, we did a few sticky notes with our names, with our role in the company, and our very artistic skills here to draw something about ourselves. So for example, you know, I used to play basketball. Clara, I don't know what that is. No, I'm joking. This is You know, she likes to dive, and Greg likes to play golf, things like that. What is your expectations from the workshop? So for me, for example, just for this session is really to understand the concept of design thinking. Then for Clara is, you know, kind of the same, help our customers with design thinking. And for Greg, it's really to understand the power of design thinking. So that's a really cool tool, and you guys are actually going to use it in just a little bit. If I go back to my slides, after I did that introduction, I'm going to present a challenge for you guys. Okay, so you guys are challenged. How do I get my hair to look good during a COVID-19 days? You know, I found it a challenge. The first time in my life I had to dye my own hair, and you know, I'm doing a lot of Zoom meetings, so you know, I don't necessarily kind of fix it, or I have even a salon open. So what do you guys do? So let's explore that. What I want you guys to do right now is take a minute or two, okay? And we call it a silent brain dump. What is that? It's really take everything in your brain, ideas, thoughts, concerns, put it on a sticky note and share it with us. And this kind of tool you're going to use in a lot of areas of design thinking. And I want us to try it. So what we're going to do is actually use Padlet. And I think Clara sent the link in the chat. So if you go into that link, I want you to guys put some crazy ideas, however they may, or not crazy ideas. You can just say put a hat on, doesn't matter.
Give me just a second. Give me just a second, because I shared a link that is not the correct. Give me just a second.
Okay, so I'll keep talking. I want you guys to be visual if possible, be creative. You can use humor, you know, and really great ideas comes from crazy places. Definitely, I agree with that statement. So let's go in once Clara gives us the link to this Padlet. So what is this Padlet? I can actually go ahead and click on the plus sign and type in something, put on a hat. Okay. I can go ahead and add a picture. I can even draw. If I click on this, I can actually draw something and just save it. And here is my sticky note. So I don't know if we guys are ready to go into that link and just start putting some ideas. Let's see what you guys have.
The link is there now.
Perfect. Yeah, so click on the chat. And you can, and as you guys put in ideas, and you know, everybody's welcome, you know, to put some cool ideas here. It's gonna pop up, you know, while you guys doing it, and you're gonna see once people start putting in some stuff. And that's, I like this tool because it is kind of live. It's a collaboration tool. Everybody can put in the same time. You can move the sticky around if you wanted. You can cluster them. And really, again, that's one of the tools that you guys can use for design thinking. I'll give you guys a minute. Any ideas out there? I see some things popping up. Try a new hairstyle. Put a bandana on. Oh, I like the drawing. What else? Okay, come on, I need a few more. I'll give you 1 more minute. Oh, shower cap. Oh my goodness. And by the way, you would notice also with design thinking, we found that if you put a time limit on getting ideas in, you get them quicker and better. Oh, it's actually, oh, I didn't see they're all the way in the bottom. Okay, cut my hair, bowl cut, shave. Oh my God. Cool. Well, thank you guys. That was really, really cool. So that's really some good ideas there. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the tools that we use in design thinking. And the first one is a persona and with an empathy map. What is that? So what is a persona? We found that most of the time, what people say is not what they actually do, think, or feel. You know, when you go and you ask people, you know, what do you do on a daily basis? How do you do it? What are your challenges? It's not necessarily what in reality they're doing. And it's not because they're trying to lie to you. It's just, you know, they're being humans, and humans are sometimes, you know, I'm confused, I'm not sure, I'm afraid. And sometimes they're not going to say it. But if you actually ask the right questions, and if you observe the people, which is, again, a little bit hard in a remote setting, but generally, if you go in and sit down with some of your employees and, you know, spend a day with them, see what they're doing, what they're facing, how they behave, you're going to learn a lot of their point of view. And this persona tool, this is what kind of allows us to, first of all, identify our kind of ideal person. So it's not a specific person, it's a fictional character. It's really a user type. So you may create one persona that is your typical customer, one persona that's your typical employee. It's really useful when you consider the goals of the persona, the limitations, you know, what's guiding them, what's driving them. So, you know, usually we would actually do a drawing, we would put some characteristic of the persona, and also we're going to create a journey map. So what is the journey map? It really is more about the actions. If you see the kind of the middle part, the actions, what they do, you know, what is their job really on a day-to-day job life? What are the touch points? So these people, or let's say it's a customer, how does this customer interact with my company? Does he go to a website? Does he go to conferences? Does he come to the office? These type of things. And all of this can help you then think, okay, let's maybe increase our touch point. Let's do more. Let's maximize the touch points we already have. What about the mindset of that customer? You know, when he comes to make a decision to buy something from you, to use your services, you know, what is he thinking? Is it too expensive? Is it too confusing? Once you understand a lot of this, it's halfway towards the solution, because once you know what's driving them, you can then go and solve their problem. Another tool is the value proposition canvas. I really like to use that one. This really is about understanding. It goes back to the persona a little bit, but more in a kind of structured way. Thinking about, okay, what does my customer need to do? For example, I don't know, he needs to sell plants, right? How can I make it easier on him? What are the pains that he's encountering when doing that? And then if I know all of this, I can then go ahead and say, oh, let's create again. Let's, if he needs to do like a quick online search, let's give him some kind of tool to do a comparison. If his pain is that he doesn't get there on time, okay, let's see how we can solve this and deliver things better and give him a tracking or whatever it could be. And then the products and services could be additional, maybe a software, or maybe an application, maybe some kind of product that completes the picture and really makes my customer happy and makes my customer come back for more. And then another tool is the business canvas, and that's also a really nice tool. This is a little bit more comprehensive, and you would use that really if you want to come up with some kind of maybe new product line that you're selling, or you want to change some division in your company. And it really is a good overview of the company in whole. You can even apply it to a company as a whole. Who are the customers of that company? What is the relationship we have with the customer? How do we interact? How do we reach them and deliver our services and products? What is the value we provide? Is it, you know, making their life easier? Is it just a product? Is it maybe I just give the value for free? What are the activities? What do we need to do to make all this happen? What resources am I using? Maybe I'm outsourcing some of it. Maybe I'm using partners. How much does it cost me, and where is my revenue stream? So it really depends on the mission statement or challenge you're presenting. At the moment for your design thinking, we can pick and choose the tool that we're going to use. Usually at the end, I like to do this. I like to put it in a chart, and I would like to divide it to 4 coordinates. And if I look, for example, at this one, so the more I go to the right, it's more affordable. So meaning it's cheaper to implement. Closer to here, it's more expensive, and then effectiveness. So if you kind of look at the end, if you get a bunch of ideas and then you cluster them in this prioritization chart, so this coordinate, it's the most effective and the most affordable. So maybe this is where I want to start. But if I come up with something that is affordable but not so effective, why even do that? If I come up with something that is affordable, that is very effective, however, it's expensive for me to implement, maybe I'll do it in phase 2. Maybe right now I'm just gonna kind of, use the low-hanging fruits to take what's easy and quick to implement. But then later I might say, I'm going to invest some money, but it's very effective. But if it's in this coordinate, I wouldn't even bother. If it's not effective, I wouldn't even do it. So different techniques, different tools. At the end, I want to come up with an action item list that really describes what I need to do, who is going to do it, and when they're going to do it. So a lot of the times you come out of a meeting and like, okay, what's next? Like, did we decide anything? So here, yes, you're going to decide, you're going to assign people's name when you have a person name, and not a group, not a team, a single person name. When you put a name to it, that person is going to be the sole responsible for the task, and it's going to get done. If you put a team, like if I get an email, a question from my customer, and I have like 5 people copied on the email, who do you think is going to answer that email? Probably no one, or one person, after a while when he sees that the others didn't reply. And I see this a lot. And I also just, if it was sent to me, I know I have to answer. If it was sent to 5 other people, including me, maybe someone else will answer because now I'm very busy. So that's why it's always important to put a name and really a timeline. Finally, tools, technology, right? Because we're doing remote, how can we actually collaborate? How can we share ideas? There's a lot of technology out there, that's not a problem. Some that I wanted to introduce you to that you might not familiar with is indeed the Padlet that we just used. There's another tool called Mural, and you're welcome to look into that. This tool is also a collaboration tool, but it's really geared towards this type of workshops. You can draw, you can put sticky notes, there are templates that apply for design thinking, all those canvases that I showed you, the value proposition, all of these are kind of included there. So you can build kind of like a team in Mural, and everybody logs in. And when somebody puts in something in real time, you can see their changes and so on. It's a really nice tool. There's a tool called Build, and Build is specifically a tool that's used for prototyping. Mainly for software, right? For this aspect of the business. If you want to build a new application, a new mobile app, for example. So Build will let you mimic how this application is going to look like. You can put buttons, you can put, you know, charts, you can even upload the sample data. It's really, really cool. And not only that, you can then send your prototype to people, to users, for them to use, right? So there's always a saying, if you have to explain it, it's probably not good enough. So if I have to explain that you have to click here to do this, then it's probably not good enough. So you just let them experience with it. Just click here, do that, see what they say. There is an option to send back the feedback. So again, a really nice tool for building new software. And of course, we have Zoom, we have GoToMeeting, we have Teams, virtual whiteboard, any of the kind of conferencing tools that you guys are using today or familiar with. I do say it's good to have a video. When someone is talking, it's different. It's different when you see the person, when you see how they interact, their body language. It's a big part of it. So you want to use a tool that includes video and make video mandatory in those meetings. Greg, over to you to talk about the last part of you know, how it's going to look like when you do a remote design thinking.
Great, thank you, Edith. That was a great presentation. It really showed the focus and power of design thinking. So it's just important to remember that design thinking is really it's a iterative process that kind of builds upon itself as it's going forward, and you're working through the process. So it's evolving. So the advantages of that, it can be used for continuous improvement, process analysis that you're doing, or any kind of general problem solving, as long as you try to limit the topic and the focus of what you're trying to solve. Design thinking is a great tool to apply for that. So again, when we're talking about applying the methodology, it's really important to have a facilitator associated with this that the facilitator's job is the vested interest is keeping the process moving forward, not determining the outcome of the sessions. So the facilitator works to make sure the scheduling is done, people are being active on the portions of the design thinking process that they're in, and that there's structured timelines and everybody's clear on with their understanding of what the requirements are for each of these attributes as you go through the design thinking process. Because we're now talking about doing things in a remote session, the idea of using all of the technical attributes and mobile functionality from Padlet and other functions to collect sticky notes and things like that, I think you all can understand as you're going through a Zoom session or a web meeting or whatever it happens to be, our attention span is not quite as great. So we're going to have to really focus. So maybe a design thinking session that might be structured, you know, on an on-site thing over a day or 2 days, you may want to schedule that out over various number of days and take smaller portions of time, maybe 2 hours or less. Usually 90 minutes of attention time is about everybody's limit of things. So 2 hours or less is usually a good short session. Schedule them in accordance with what everybody needs to be doing with their regular assignments and jobs, and schedule those things out maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and give homework as we're going through, whether it happens to be to developing a persona and giving that persona more value or more reality to them, whether you're working on the journey map, the value proposition, or the business canvas. Any of those things can be done as homework assignments with set tasks. Make sure you're giving a task and a timeline, and also assigning a responsible person to do that. So I think using those things in conjunction with the tools that Adit presented will give you a great baseline with design thinking to get moving forward. So as far as the team, it's really important to have a team that's very cross-functional, and even don't feel that you need to only invite people that are directly responsible for the solution or the issue that's being tackled, because you want to have a very good cross-functional group of people involved in the team that maybe are direct contacts, maybe secondary contacts, or just observers as far as what's being done. So you need the team, which is could be an architect, developer, product owner, all of those type of things. But it's good to have a very diverse group. There's a famous book out there called The Wisdom of Crowds. It's a great example of being able to use the wisdom of crowds and different attributes and different approaches to things, and everybody's viewpoint is important. So from there, you get those great ideas or those crazy thoughts that could spur solutions when you may not think they may be. Right. So again, when we're talking about how to get started, really important to have a facilitator, a person that's going to be driving the design thinking process and the structure of that. We can help you with that. We have people that are certified, Edith, Clara, myself, to help you with these design thinking sessions. You can reconnect and review this recorded session again, or you can reach out and contact Clara or myself with any questions you have going forward. But again, I thank you for your time today. I know you guys are super busy, and I think this is a great session. Edith, thank you again, and Clara, thank you for organizing things and keeping us moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Edith, I cut you. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you. And once again, we have a few minutes for questions if you guys have any. So we're here for you.
Yes, feel free to submit your questions through the question and answer feature here in Zoom. If a question comes up later after you're digesting all the presentation, please send us an email. Greg, maybe you can go to the previous slide so that they can take note of the email. I'm going to share also on the chat other interesting links to subscribe to our newsletter if you're not receiving it yet, and so where you will be able to see the recording there. I think it was a very interesting session, and as Greg mentioned, we're here to help you. So any questions, please contact us. Thank you so much, Edith. Thank you, Greg, and thank you everybody who joined today.
Thank you all. Be safe.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a wonderful day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.